Hello, hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mawusi Ragland, known as Woo Rag, and I'm so happy to have Miss Leanne Rodway with us today, all the way from Australia, yes. And she's going to talk with you all and share with us all about abuse. So we're going to go ahead and introduce Miss Leanne. Hi, Miss Leanne. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank
I just want to correct you there at the beginning. You said Luann.
Oh, Miss Leanne Rodway, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. It's okay. I get called a lot of things.
I got it right the second time.
You did.
There we go. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
It's my honor and my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
You are welcome. So my first question I have for you today is, what do you think is important for the people to know about your story?
That change is possible. You don't have to live your future from your past. You're not broken, and you don't need fixing. You can just let it go. And I know how to do all of that. It's taken me a long time to get to where I am today, but it's possible.
So tell us about your childhood. What was your childhood like?
My childhood growing up, I was abused, sexually abused, molested, groomed from age 3 all the way through. My parents were not good role models, especially my mother. A lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse. I lived it all pretty much. And it wasn't until my father died at age 14, and that's when I really started creating incorrect choices in my life.
How were you when that started? When you started creating the different choices in your life?
I was 15 at the time. So I was 15. I ran away from home at 16. Ran off with another guy who groomed me during the period of my father's death. He thought it was great. Ended up having a baby at 17 and a half. By 21, I was pregnant with my second one, and that guy left me for another woman while I was 8 months pregnant. And
you were 15 at that time?
I was 15 when my dad died, 16 when I ran away from home, 17 and a half by the time I had my first baby, and 21 when I had my second and was left at 8 months pregnant to be a single mother to 2 boys. So I believe my life that I was a failure.
Right, you were young.
And I started creating a lot of choices coming from that on an unconscious level. I didn't consciously think that I was doing that, but that I realize now that I know everything that I know now, that is exactly what I was doing. Because it all began the day my father died, because I tried to give him CPR. He had cancer. He was dying.
Right.
So this was he took his last breath. I thought I could save him. I'm a 15-year-old, just turned 15 the month before.
Right.
And, you learn in school, do CPR and you can save lives. So here I am, 15. I'm trying to do compressions on my father and breaths and bring him back to life, because I didn't want him to go. I wasn't ready to let him go.
Father, that was your dad, yes.
Yeah. And so I failed. wasn't that I failed, that was his time. But to me at that time, I felt like I failed.
Because you were so young.
And my siblings and mother told me I failed.
Oh, no.
So I carried that with me. I come from a very toxic family. So I was always very different to all of them. I was the good girl. So, and me and my mother never got on. I think it was because I was close to my father. I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, right. I understand.
So,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So
who was the person that was abusing you? Was it someone that you knew? Was it a family friend?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiple. And I realize now that when I did a relationships course maybe 2-3 years ago, and I finally understood, because we went into the Enneagram personality test.
Yes.
And I finally understood how I created my personality. So it came from, because when I was young, I was a tomboy. I refused to wear dresses. I refused to look like a girl.
Okay.
So to me, in my little 3 and 4 year old mind was, these men keep touching me. I'm going to be a boy because boys don't get touched.
Right.
So I removed any form of femininity. I didn't want to be a girl. Boys had it way better than what girls did in my little 3 or 4 year old mind. You know, so
that's understandable.
I realized that I rejected myself from that time.
You were protecting yourself. You were thinking you were trying to protect yourself from that time.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was also rejecting myself.
At the same time, right? You can talk a little bit about.
I didn't know that. You know, obviously, you know, 3-4 years old, you don't know that what rejection is. You just know you don't want to be that, so that you can't be seen. Right. So from that, between birth and age 5, you develop all your emotional set points. Yes. As to who you are today and what you react from. So within that time frame, I had already developed, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, I'm insignificant, I don't belong, and I'm not perfect. So those 6 sabotaging identities is what drives my bus today.
Yes.
Except now I'm aware of them.
Right. You're driving.
So you grow through life.
Yes.
Pardon?
You learned from that experience. You're driving a different car, but in a new way. You're driving, but you're driving in a new way now.
Yes.
You can identify now.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm awakened to it. So instead of just driving blindly, I can stop and say, well, that's my turn back there. I'm getting off here.
Yes.
You know? So, and that's how I developed my life. And then that just became my belief about who I was, topped in with, I'm a failure. See, another aspect that I realized when I've done all my work on myself was that, see, I used to have this fear of public speaking, like literal fear. I'm shaking like this, tears, the whole body is just
It takes a lot to public speak.
Yeah. So, and I also had fear of numbers. I still have fear of numbers, hate them. Anyway, but that all went back to a time in 2nd grade where I was made to get up and say my times table in front of the class. So I was about age 6, 7. And I didn't get them all right. So my teacher decided that she would make an example of me, sat me in front of the class, whacked me across the knuckles with the ruler, and put this big hat on my head that read dunce.
Yeah, because back in those days, you could whack a kid.
Yeah. So, and then she had the whole class laugh at me. So that played into all my fear of maths.
Of course.
As well as public speaking, standing in front of people on an unconscious level. Today, I've removed those fears. I'm still blank with numbers, but who cares? Who needs numbers? It's got other people, accountants, that can do all that sort of stuff. So
tell us, how has this experience impacted your life?
That experience impacted my life immensely. I always thought and believed I was stupid.
Throughout everything, how has everything impacted your life?
Everything. As I said before,
experience.
I lived my life from being a failure. All those 6 sabotaging identities equals failure. So if my mother was calling me a failure, if my teacher was calling me a failure, if my siblings were calling me a failure, then I guess I must be a failure. So I lived my life accordingly to that. So it impacted me immensely. I no longer believe any of those stories.
Now, how did you get over that? How did you learn to deal with that and make it to where you are and who you are today?
Well, I still had to go through a lot more stuff because I took all that into my marriages.
How many times were you?
I've been married twice.
How old are you?
I am now 57 years old.
All right, 57. Congratulations.
Thank you. But I didn't just survive my abuse. I'm thriving now from my abuse.
Tell us a little bit about that. How are you thriving?
My first, well, let me go. My first husband used to beat me. I had fractures in my spine, dislocated hips. He almost put me in a wheelchair. I've had guns to my head. I've been raped multiple times. And the second husband was narcissistic. So he was all in my head. And I didn't understand that game whatsoever because I'd experienced a lot of this, a lot of physical, but I'd never experienced that crazy torture of a narcissist before. And that one almost took me. I was in and out of the mental health system for years. And I was on suicide watch every day for the last 2 years of it. I suffered PTSD, chronic fatigue, depression, panic attacks, you name it, I had it. And it wasn't until 2015 I took control of my life.
Congratulations. How did you do that? How did you finally say enough is enough? I'm going to take control of my life now. When did you finally get clarity?
My niece knew that I was really suicidal, and she called me one day and said, "Auntie, I've just been to this seminar down in Brisbane, which is like by car, it's a good 10-hour drive. So she said, I need you to come down to this seminar. It's really going to help you." I was like, Tiny, I can't come. I can't even leave my bed. How do you expect me to get on a plane? She said, no, you really need to come to this. This is going to transform your life. And so I did. I somehow, because it was either, I had two choices at that time. Either save myself or kill myself.
Right.
They were my two options. And I really didn't want to die. I just wanted to kill the situation that I was in.
Yes.
Not myself.
Right.
So I ended up going down to this seminar. I booked a plane and I flew down. And it was a 2-day seminar on tapping, EFT, but not normal EFT. It was faster EFT, eutactics. It's a much faster way. And I just sat there and I just watched people transform in front of my eyes this entire weekend. I didn't have any work done on myself.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, this looks all pretty good. I'm very interested in learning about this. So it wasn't until I was leaving to go home and I was sitting at the airport, and the sister of that niece I went to the seminar with called me and said, Auntie Debbie just died, who is my sister.
Oh, no.
And I'm at the airport, ready to get on a plane to go home. So the last time I saw my sister, it wasn't good. It was quite toxic and it wasn't good. So I was wrapped with all this guilt, blame and shame. So I sat there and I thought, well, maybe I'll try and do this tapping. So I did. I just sat there. I'm trying not to cry and bawl my eyes out in the airport. So I'm doing all this because instead of tapping like this, you can just rub your eye, massage. So that's what I started doing. And I just kept doing that. And I'm saying, I release and let go all this guilt, all this blame, all this shame. And I kept doing that. And I did it all the way on the plane. And it's just barely holding me together from breaking down. And I managed to get home and I just broke down and I just kept doing it and I kept doing it. And I kept re-imprinting memories that I saw them do. So I would get the last image I had of her and I together, which wasn't good. And I pushed it all the way to the background. So it was just on the horizon in my mind. And then I recalled a happy memory of the two of us when we were younger. And I put that there. And I just kept tapping that memory into my mind.
Yes.
Into my consciousness. And until I couldn't see that last memory anymore. And I kept doing that. That was 8:00 in the morning. I got that call. It was 12:00 by the time I fell asleep, exhausted. The next morning I woke up and I was happy. Like, I mean, bouncing off the walls with freaking happiness. And I didn't know what the hell was happening. I'd actually even forgotten my sister died.
What?
It was 2 hours before I remembered that my sister died.
No way.
Yeah. And then I'm like, Debbie died. And I kept saying it over and over and over and trying to bring up the emotions that I was feeling yesterday. And there was nothing. Zip, zero, nothing. All I could see was her happy, me happy, playing as kids. That's all I can remember.
Okay.
So it was just, I was filled with love and happiness for her.
That's beautiful.
So all the sadness, all the grief was just gone.
Release yourself. Well,
yeah.
Great. Because I feel personally that you need to do that. Not really break ourselves down and not move forward. That's where self-development and all that comes in.
Mm.
it gets you prepared for the bad times and the traumatic times, because we're all going to face hard time and difficulty times. Life is like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. But it's about
Exactly.
how do you get back up? How do you get back up? How do you keep getting back up? You see, what would you like to share with your audience if they are facing abuse today, even if they're a child or someone that is an adult, someone that's a teenager? What would you?
I'm just going to deal with adults and teenagers that will understand this, that if you are suffering, reach out to somebody. Don't stay because you love them. Love doesn't hold anything together. Love doesn't fix anything. Love does not resolve anything. If you're not in alignment with your own self, you have to. What I realized was that my abuse happened because I chose. It's a choice. I chose to stay silent as a child. I chose to stay silent as a teenager. I chose to stay silent as an adult out of fear. And that's the worst possible thing that you can do, because that choice becomes your way of living, of moving forward. You continually carry that with you all through your entire life. So I realized, especially in my marriages, is that I enabled that. I created that. How? You see, you can't control what somebody else does. You can only control you. You can only control your thinking, words that come out of your mouth, and your reactions and actions in life. Everything outside of you, you can't control it. All you can do is focus inside on what you can control. Don't worry about going to the police if you need them. Go. Absolutely go. They are doing wrong, so it's up to you to stop that. If you continue to allow it, you're enabling that. You're teaching them how to treat you. And I want to say this to women, especially women. Ladies, you are worth more than a bunch of flowers. You are worth more than a romantic dinner after he's beaten you. This isn't an apology. This is another suck up. Stop devaluing yourself. Take ownership and learn to respect yourself, because we are not taught from children how to love, how to respect ourselves, how to value ourselves. We are taught how to manipulate. We are taught that we must get something. So in order to get love, we have to do something we don't want to do. You know, our parents use it against us. If you don't sit there and be quiet, I'm not going to give you any dinner. If you don't do this, I'm not going to give you a hug or kiss. If you don't do this, I'm not, you're going to be a failure and blah, blah, blah. They feed us all these lies and manipulation that become our story as to who we are. And it's not true. All your beliefs don't even belong to you. And it's even proven now through neuroscience and epigenetics that we actually carry within our DNA all memory from past generations that comes through our DNA. So belief systems that you have worked on and you can't get rid of, they're not yours. When you have those aha moments and you think, oh my God, that was so brilliant. Where'd that come from? That's from the past. Generations feeding you your brilliant, authentic ideas, because that's who you are. You're actually born a creator. So I teach women how to create. I have a signature system that's in my new course, Relationship Revolution, that teaches you how to become the powerful creator that you were truly born to be by removing all the resistance. You don't need to look at all that trauma and stuff. You do it in your own head, but me as a coach, as a mentor, I don't ask you about it because I don't want you rehashing it. When you rehash it, you're re-imprinting it. So it never goes. See, I was doing all this self-development work on myself. Lisa Nichols was my mentor for 8 months. I worked with many other coaches, did lots of relationship courses, but I always found that I was being pulled back to, I'm not good enough.
Why?
Because it's your identity. We develop this identity from when we're little. So even though you do all this work on yourself and you know what you know about yourself, as soon as you come into this problem-solving structure, see, we have this identity of our current reality, okay, who we are today.
Yes.
And we want to create a better life over here, okay? So what happens is when we start moving that needle forward, a problem will crop up.
It's resistant.
And the resistance pulls us out of alignment with our true choice, because it's not really a true choice, because we're still saying life will be better when I get over there. How about life's good now?
That's right.
You have everything you want right now.
Absolutely. But it takes work to get here.
It takes work to get here.
I feel that people don't.
I am not saying it's easy at all, because it's not. And if anybody tells you it is, then they are liars, because it's just not.
You have to do your work. People are not willing to change and to do their work. And if you want to be in a better situation, you have to move and move fast, because this can cost you your life and your mind. Your mindset means everything.
Your mind, it's not, see, this is the mistake of the self-development world. It's not just your mindset.
No, not just that.
Emotional. It is your emotional set points that creates the stinking thinking. So we can wake up in bed feeling a certain way before we've even had a thought.
Right.
You know that saying, oh, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed? Well, it's true, because you wake up with this feeling and then that just sets the tone for the rest of the day and you haven't even had a thought. It's your emotion.
Well, you have to work on that. You have to work on being better. I feel that I'm big on self-development. I'm big on the mindfulness, because it's true. I am big on that. And
it is true. Like,
I feel that but it takes a work to get yourself out of the situation. I feel a lot of women, they don't get themselves out of situations. So
yes. Because it's all about your identity. You see, you get a benefit from staying stuck in that. poor me victim. There's a benefit. Whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't matter. It's still a benefit.
Why do they think it's this benefit?
Why is it a benefit?
Yes.
Because it keeps you safe. Because you get attention. You know, when you complain about your life, you're getting attention.
From the abuser or from other people?
From other people. You know, the benefit from staying there is just because it's easier. We think we're doing it to save, because we have no money. We make all these excuses as to why we can't leave. And I know, I've been there, I've done it. I lived it.
Absolutely.
I was married for 13 years. I stayed in it far too long. The next one was 9 years. I stayed in that far too long because of kids.
Right.
You know, oh, the kids will be better off if I stay. No, they won't. They are traumatized.
I don't think women
from you staying.
I don't think that a lot of people think that when they're in that situation.
I know they don't, but I've watched it, I've seen it, I've witnessed it from kids when my sons grew up, who they are now as men. It affected them.
It does.
My stepkids, it affected them. You know, it's just staying for all the wrong reasons is not a reason to stay.
Absolutely.
We think we're doing the right thing. And, you know, it feels like we're doing the right thing for them, but it's not, because they pick up on everything. They're sponges. And they just, you don't even have to say anything. They pick up on your energy, everything.
Just like when we were children, you picked up on your mother and father's energy.
Yeah.
The way that your mother treated you. And
yes.
And it was, as a child, that affected you. And it's why, why do you treat me that way? Children know. I remember when I was a child, I know how my mother and father treated me. They loved me. They make me feel safe. So it's very important for a mother and a father to keep their children safe. But
yes.
But that today, what's going on in this world is tragedy of the things that's going on in this world. And that's the reason why we're here, because you made it out of that abuse. And
yes.
How's your life today for you?
My life is great today because I moved beyond even the tapping and discovered that that answer as to why we were being pulled back with our identity and structure and how it all fear is actually your friend. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. The only time you need to fear is when somebody's coming at you to physically hurt you. When you feel that fear inside, it's actually saying to you, hey, something's not right. I'm here to protect you. I'm letting you know that something doesn't feel right. So either you're not prepared for something, you don't know enough, or you just don't you're creating the wrong choices. So that's when fear comes up and it's tapping you on the back saying, hey, I'm here. I'm your friend. I'm not your enemy. I'm just letting you know that something doesn't feel safe. So make fear your friend.
Or familiar, depending on what it is, right?
It's depending on what it is. But it's letting you know that, we've been here before and here we are again. Listen to it. Listen to that fear. Listen to that intuition. If it doesn't feel right, it is not right. Don't make excuses for that feeling. God gave us intuition for a reason. Except we block it. We block our natural ability to create. We are born from love to create with love. But between birth And age 5, all of that creating that we were born with gets blocked with all of our parents' beliefs and stories and everything else they fill us with. And then it's school, and then it's government and society, and nothing belongs to you. Very little.
Right.
Because we're not living our authentic truth.
You have to work on it.
You have to work on it. And, you know, what is sad is that majority of the people, and it doesn't matter what country you travel to, I've traveled to a lot of countries now, and people just don't know what they love.
People don't know what it is that they're even here to do. They won't take the time to find out who they are.
No, it's because it comes from our identity. It comes from our childhood of becoming. If you go into the Enneagram and uncover your personality type, that is exactly why you don't know. It'll tell you everything, especially people pleasers. You know, we do everything to please everybody else but ourselves. We think we're doing the right thing, and I'm a people pleaser, okay?
Are you?
So when I was chronic, right? Really, I did not know how to say no to anybody.
Oh.
But it wasn't until 3 years ago when I was living in Egypt, and I did this relationship course, and I found that I was using my good girl to try and get things from people, because that's what I learned when I was being molested and groomed.
Right. You didn't know. Right. You started at a young age. Someone
Yeah. You don't consciously think I'm a people pleaser. No. You think you're really doing the right thing. But the truth is, underneath the layers of all of that is you're looking for validation. You're looking for acceptance. You're looking for belonging.
You're looking for all this, everything. Emotional craziness. Why did this happen to me? You start questioning. Yeah. Of course. It carries through, right? And you don't even know you're doing it. Or maybe
until you become aware of your personality type, you're running on unconscious belief systems about yourself.
Yes.
You know, your identity is driving your bus from that little girl, because who you were then is who you are now emotionally.
Yes.
So all your reactions are not actually about what's happening now. It's about that very first time you experienced that. That is what that feeling is. It's not them. So even when someone's standing there yelling at you, your reaction is not actually about that. It's about that very first time you felt that feeling.
That's deep.
So every time when I did that EFT stuff and tapping way back in 2015, I was trying to work on my ex-husband at the time. Not once did anything come up about him. It all went back to my childhood and came up about my mother.
Of course. Listen to your story. Yes, of course.
So it was all about that very first time you felt something. Because what comes out of another person's mouth is about them. And the way you react is all about you. They don't have a remote control saying, be angry, be sad, be happy, be loving. No, that comes from you. So you have to learn how to take ownership and be accountable to yourself.
Did you ever get counseling? Did you get help through those times?
I tried counseling when I was married, before I got divorced. I was seeing a psychologist when I was in and out of the mental health system every week. None of it helped. I was medicated to the eyeballs. And then when I started doing this tapping and I was going and seeing them, they're like, Leanne, what happened to you? You're a totally different person. Within, because I decided, I made the choice right then and there when I realized my sister, when I'd let go of all that stuff about my sister.
Yes, you did the tapping.
That I decided I wanted to do that course. So I hired all these coaches to work on me. Within 3 months, I was no longer on medication. I no longer had fibromyalgia. I no longer had to go and see all my psychs and counselors and everything else. I gave myself permission to feel what I was feeling, to let it go.
Yes.
I didn't need anybody else's permission. I gave myself permission because I'm a very sensitive soul and an empath, and I feel everything way deeper than everybody around me. And I allowed myself to just go into the hellfire and just face it all. And I did all that. And it changed my life. But now I've found something even faster, and this is what I'm teaching now. It's all about creating, and it's not even about having to go into all that stuff that I went to, because we don't need to look at that.
So how do you teach?
I teach people. I teach people how to create. So I broken create into, was it anagram? So the C stands for creating conscious relationships, understanding your core values, and understanding the 8 ineffective ways we create choices from. The R stands for your reality, your current reality versus your desired reality. And understanding what your true end result is. It must come from your heart and not from a problem-solving structure.
That's right.
The second R is responsibility, taking ownership of your own life, being accountable to yourself on a soulful level.
Tell us a little bit about that soulful level so that the audience can understand.
Okay, this was the most. You see, I haven't told you yet. When I got divorced,
yes,
I ran away to Egypt. I built myself an inspirational education center there, and I stayed there for the next 4 years. I only came back the end of 2019. So I'm rebuilding my life again now.
Oh, how beautiful.
But it was, I realized I didn't know on an unconscious level I was running away. I just thought, I just want to get away from him as far as possible because he's a narcissist and he will find any way to get back to me. So that's where I ended up, was in Egypt. And I got into a relationship there, and I realized that I was still reacting the exact same way. Even though I'd let go all of this other stuff, I found that I was being pulled back and reacting to my triggers still. And it wasn't pretty.
You were going through a lot.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like the person that I still was being. Right. And I realized that.
How old were you at this time, Leanne?
It was 4 years ago. 4 years ago when I actually did this. Yeah. So I was 53, 50, 53,
right.
50.
Yeah, you were still young. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm a slow learner.
Me too. I go slow, but I keep going.
That's it. I don't stop.
Yes.
Because I was stuck in that trap of love, you know? You need a man to feel anything, to be anything.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, no,
Right.
you don't. Anyway, so I'm in Egypt. I'm in a relationship that wasn't giving me what I wanted. So I'm in reaction again, even though I'd done all these other courses and everything else. I even asked my relationship coach, why is it, if we know what we know, that we're always still pulled backwards? And his answer was, and he's American, when I know, I'll tell you. So that just floored me. I thought,
is he serious?
Yeah. And so I ended up just delving into myself. I said, okay, I need to stop blaming others for my life. I need to take control of myself.
That's all he had to tell you.
So I looked at, no, I looked at who I was being as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, as a colleague, as a boss. Who was I being? It had nothing to do what others were doing to me. It was all about who I was being. So I sat there, I wrote down and went back through every single thing I did to other people, all my reactions, even if they did bad to me, my reactions. And if you're watching the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case at the moment, this is a very good example, okay? Yes, he is abusive, but so is she. She is a manipulator, and she's playing up the victim. And because she's living in an anger, poor me little girl. And this is what I was doing also. So even though they were attacking me, I was also attacking them. So it's not just a one-way street.
Oh, when it comes to, okay, are you talking about when it comes to abuse?
Yeah.
Okay, so it takes two to tango, basically, you're saying.
It takes two to tango. It's a two-way street. You know, it's, if they're yelling and abusing you and you're yelling and abusing back, you are being just as vindictive and nasty and horrible as they are.
But what about they're hitting you and you're not hitting them back, Leanne?
Well, I did used to hit back in the end.
Well, that's because you started fighting them back.
Yeah, but no. If they're hitting you and you're not hitting back, then that's different. But I am talking about the vitriol that comes out of your mouth back at them.
Okay.
Because you're just fueling the fire.
You're doing it right. And that
you're just fueling the fire, and it gives no man any excuse to freaking touch you whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you're yelling at him or whatever. He has no right to lay a finger on you.
I'm hearing you say she just needs to get out.
She needs to get out.
And if it's vice versa, if it's a man that's abused and your woman, your lady, your wife, your girlfriend's hitting on you, you need to get out as soon as possible.
Yes. And it is a two-way street that women do abuse men also. So I'm not just saying that it's only women that are victims, because men are also. So I like to include that because I've seen it way too many times.
Yes.
You know, I've seen it within my own family.
The abuse on the men, on little boys are high. The abuse on women are high. The numbers are high. They say 1 out of 5 women are getting, well, if you got 5 women, one of those women are getting abused in that group if it's 5 of them. It's 4 little
Yes.
boys. Out of those 4 little boys, one of them are getting abused.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
And so the numbers are high, and it's costing people their lives.
And the abuse has changed. It's not just beatings anymore. It's actually murders.
Yes.
It's both mothers and fathers using their children as weapons against each other.
Yes.
Because of their own anger and vindictiveness. And this is why I say it's a two-way street.
Yes,
because you can't just blame one over the other, because I've seen it both.
Yes.
But the level has escalated beyond anything. I don't know about over there, but over here, we've had husbands set their entire families on fire.
Yes, ma'am. It just happened a couple of days here. We were hearing. Oh no, it's here. It's nationwide. It's all over the world. They're losing their minds.
Yeah. And people ask, how do we solve this problem? Well, we cannot solve the problem as long as you want to be an ostrich and keep your head in the sand and keep playing the victim, because you keep the cycle going. If you're staying in that, if you're refusing to change, if you're refusing to take control and accountability for self, you are keeping that cycle going, and you are teaching it to your children. Your children see everything, they hear everything, they feel everything. And they grow up thinking it's okay to be that way. We as mothers, especially as mothers, we need to stop raising our male children to be somebody, to be grown up adult men when they're still little boys. Don't cry, it's weak. Don't do this, it's weak. Stop teaching your sons that it's weak to feel their emotions. This is the problem. You have to allow them to feel their feelings. God gave us feelings for a reason. He didn't just give women feelings.
That's right.
He gave men feelings also. And when a male child is growing up and they're constantly told, don't cry, it's weak, don't feel, it's weak. So they're stuffing it down and they're stuffing it down and they're stuffing it down until it's up to here. And what happens? It's got to explode. How does it explode? Through their fists, through their mouths. Because they've got no other way to express, because that's all they know. Because that's the male way.
Yes, I saw a little boy, literally, I didn't see him, but they said on the news he was beat to death. And when the mother's boyfriend, and she was there watching it, was hitting the little boy, he was telling the little boy, stop crying, be quiet. And the little boy's like laughing while he's getting hit. And it cost the little boy his life. He had like 47 fractures in his body. But these cases are not even unheard of. It's happening it seems like it's a weekly, daily, or a monthly basis.
It's a daily thing. It's a daily thing around the world, And what the hell is going on in these people's minds that they think it's okay to treat another human being, yet alone an innocent little child, that way? It's all about power. They feel powerful that they can control this kid like this. No, that's when they're weak. That is not power. That is just abominable, atrocious. I don't even like to think about it. I watch it. I watch all these missing kids stuff and everything like that. All the abuse. I watched that series on that little Hispanic boy that
Yes,
became.
Hernandez, the little
Yes,
Hernandez case. Oh my,
yes.
I couldn't watch it the whole way through. I was, oh my.
I bawled my entire heart out. It's like, how? And then a week later, another boy suffered the exact same. How are they falling through the cracks in the system? How are we as parents allowing this? How are we as mothers allowing strange men to take care of our kids?
How? That's what we want to know. How is this happening? In the zoo, in the animal kingdom, in the animal world, the apes protects their babies. And you mean to tell me us as humans can't protect ours? This is really happening in the world, ladies and gentlemen. This needs to be addressed.
Women need to step up and stop choosing the wrong male roles to be in their lives and be around their kids, period.
Yes. And I think because of that, a lot of kids, they lose their lives because they play this game with their children. They play this game with their children, and those babies are losing their lives.
Yes. Yes.
And
they protect the man and don't even care about the kid.
At all.
Why? Oh, because I get sex, because I get drugs, because I get this, because I get that. It's all about what you get.
We are asking,
they don't care. They just don't care about what happens to anything outside of them.
We are asking the world, we're asking you, if you're listening, please help someone if you know that they're getting abused, or if you're the abuser, please stop.
Step up, rise up. Be the human being that God created you to be. He gave you a heart for a reason. He gave you a mind for a reason. He called us mothers for a reason. He gave us that honor to give birth for a reason.
Yes.
He didn't give you the okay to take any child's life.
Through murder, abuse.
Nobody has that right.
Nobody. If you know anyone that's in this situation, or if you are the abuser, we would like to tell you to please reach out to someone and get help, because we care, and that's what we're here for, to share stories with you so that they can relate. So maybe you can relate to the stories, and it can help you, and it can impact your life in a way so that you can make a difference. Because it's important that we look after one another and spread the word. It doesn't go away. So that's why we're sharing stories. Miss Leanne is here to share her story with you, to impact your life. And because of all the things that she's been through, she is now a very successful woman today, giving back to the community of mothers and teaching you how to become an impactful person in this world. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I just want to add that this is why I created my Create program, is if I can save just one woman, one family from going through what I had to go through, and saving them from marrying the wrong person and having children and putting them through divorce and all of that, then I'm happy with just saving one person, one family, one woman. But I would love to save so much more. But you have to find it within yourselves to be your own rescues. Nobody can save you but you. You have to put your hand out first for others to be able to grab a hold and pull you out of that cesspool of garbage and vitriol that you're living in. It's time, ladies, to rise up and rise above and become who you were born to be. Stop allowing circumstances. You have control. It's a choice. You can either choose to have a hard life, or you can choose to create a better life for you and most of all for your children, because it's not even about us, it's about them. It's about the next generation, raising better human beings. We have enough issues in this world with COVID, with lockdowns, with all this bullshit going on around the world at the moment. It's time for you to stand up. So just put your hand out and say, please help me.
And if they would like to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
I'm on Facebook. Just look up my name, Leanne Rodway, Rodway. I'm a Nutrigetics Heart Transformations Mentor. You can find me on Instagram under Neurogetics Mentor, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah, it's pretty
Are you on
Just look up my name, you will find me.
All right. Yes, and definitely, if you follow my podcast, you will definitely find her.
Yes. You can also look me up at www.leannerodway.com.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to our audience?
Choose you. Choose you. It's all about you. It's not about them. Stop blaming. Stop living in blame, shame, guilt, revenge. Let it go. And your life will become so much more peaceful and joyful and loving and giving. Your whole world will change when you let go of all that garbage that you carry around on your back. The weight of the world will just drop off.
Yes, it will. When you start living your full God-given gift life that He has given you and granted you, and you have all the will in the world to move in any direction that you would like to move in. Yes. But we want you to move in a better direction for yourself if you're going through something today. We want to let you know that you will get through it. Go for it and never look back. That's why we made it to you. Miss Leanne have been through some things in her life, but she is here today to reach back and share with you, like she did, her story. And if you would like to reach out to Miss Leanne, you can, okay? And I want to leave you with, it's fine today. Sure, this world is full of trouble. I ain't said it ain't. Lord, I've been through enough and double reason for complaint. Rain and storm have come to fret me. Skies are often gray. Thorns and brambles have come to beset me on the road. But say, ain't it fine today? What's the use in always weeping, making trouble last? What's the use in always keeping thinking of the past? Each must have his tribulations, water with his wine. Life, it ain't no celebration. Trouble, I've had mine. But today is fine. It's today that I'm living, not a month ago, having, losing, giving, taking. As time wills it so. Yesterday, a cloud of sorrow fell across the way. It may rain again tomorrow. It may rain, but say, ain't it fine today? Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Mawusi Ragland, known as Woo Rag. Miss Leanne, you want to say bye?
I just want to say a big, huge thank you for having me today. And I love that Maya Angelou poem. Love it. It gave me goosebumps.
That one's by Douglas Maylock.
Love it?
Yeah.
It sounded like Maya Angelou to me.
Oh, yeah, because it was so good, right?
Yeah.
So
All right.
yes, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you're looking for some help, just reach out.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Enjoy.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thanks.